What's going on, folks? Welcome to Wizards Outlook. Got Cardo Dudley Jr. here tonight. I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. We're here because the Washington Wizards officially kicked off their Summer League action for the 2025 Summer League out in Vegas. Cardell, the Wizards fell to the Suns tonight, 103-84. Summer League, obviously, the result is the result, but also there's other things to take away too. Obviously, it's our first chance to see this year's draft class play with last year's draft class. And that went for both teams. Some good performances, but want to get where you are, and then I'll share what I took away from it tonight.
It's hard to get a little too, critical on these guys because, they just come together for the first time. You really just trying to see those who have show flashes. We know what to expect from the guys that already played, like Bub and Keyshawn, who I'm gonna talk a lot about. He had a pretty big game. Alex and all them. They're proving. This was a chance to kind of see the rookies and see, with them kind of under the NBA lights for the first time, so to speak, man. And for the most part, they all had their moments. The Wizards didn't really go deep into their bench. I think they might have went like 8 deep tonight. So, that was, that with that being said, Phoenix was just more efficient. They were bigger up front. They out-rebounded them, but the Wizards 43-29. Also, the points off turnovers. Phoenix had 27. When the Wizards had 20, the Wizards was fast, so they outran them. But as far as fast break points, they outscored them 18-3. But the Phoenix size, I think, kind of dictated the game a little bit. With the altering the shots, and you look at Washington, they really shot 41%, 25% from the field. They were very inefficient. And then they had 17 turnovers, which I said they had 27 points for the Suns. So you already getting beat on the boards, giving up a lot of points off turnovers, and you're inefficient. So that's just tough to come back from. Bub had no other way to put it. 1 for 9 from the field speaks for itself. Like I said, Summer League, we already know what he can do. We, not going to be overcritical, but in this particular game, obviously that hurt. Trey Johnson, he showed why he was drafted where he was drafted. He gets a bucket. 18 points, 53% from the field, 60% from deep. Only 3 turnovers. He's a professional scorer. That's why he was drafted. Even from the get-go, he looked confident. He looked poised. He looked like he'd been there before offensively. Defense would need some work. Now I know that's the beauty of Summer League. You kind of get under that NBA microscope, so to speak, the NBA spotlight, and you kind of get to gauge yourself where you need to go and show. You know what I mean? Especially in pick and roll situations. He knows he got to get better. I felt like at first they wasn't really utilizing Alex Sarr, which is typical. Some of a bunch of guards kind of trying to establish themselves, but then as the game went along, they started. Alex Sarr started to get going. 15 points, 4 rebounds in 30 minutes. 4 turnovers. Clean that up a little bit, but again, I'm not gonna be overly critical, man. But once he got going, he was able to do his thing. Will Riley, he showed flashes. Hit a couple, had 5 points, but his defense is the thing. I like his defense in spurts, especially guarding Kobe Bryant from Phoenix, who we'll touch on, who literally was the best 3-point shooter in college basketball last year, and you saw that. You saw that right away tonight. With 19 points, 7 of 10 from the field, 4 or 5 from deep. He can hit. He can make shots, man. So. That was a good battle with Keyshawn George, man. He looked way more confident, especially out the mid-post. He got in there. 24.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 10-18 from the field. 5 turnovers is one too many, but again, Summer League not going to over analyze that. he looked way more confident. You could just tell he understands where he's trying to go and what he's trying to do when he get there. Whereas last year he was searching like, what can I do and where do I need to be? It's a totally different thing. He's ultra confident, man. We already knew he could shoot, but the post work and getting to the cup and you know what I mean, being able to facilitate and all that on top of, you know, the defense that he brings is, you know, it's a welcome sight. Then you obviously, you know, AJ Johnson, 11 points, super athletic. People saw what we've been seeing last year when he, you know, on the break, when he took flight and came in. Then I can't even say he didn't. It was more like he couldn't get off the ground and quick because he was already up there. He just ain't had the angle or the opportunity to really gather himself to try to contest that before he dunked it. So we know he brings to the table. Jameer Watkins in, you know, 14 minutes, saw flashes of what he could be on both ends. You know, good defender and turn the defense into some instant offense, man. You know, got it all nice with nice dunk, man. Leaky Black, you know, 3 points and 3 rebounds as well. So all in all, man, you know, look, obviously not the outcome you always want to win, but I think they just evaluating guys and just seeing, you know, what's going on, man. So, and that's why you play these games, man. You gotta get the chemistry right. You know, a lot of these guys, especially the starting 5, and AJ, they're gonna play. So you gotta get them ready and get them acclimated with each other, so they can hit the ground running. You're not worried about the vets like CJ and Chris and all them; they'll be ready. But you gotta get the youngest more reps, and so they can hit the ground running and you know, try to add more wins to the win column later this winter and this fall. But you know, all in all, from the rookies and the mainstays, you know, solid performance.
Yeah, just to piggyback, which is I think one of the things with Keyshawn, he just looked like he looked really comfortable and everything was really clear. There was no indecision. Versus last year, as you mentioned, obviously that happens, is to be expected as a rookie. Yeah, Trey Johnson looked, I think you said it perfectly, like you've been here before. He was just dumb comfortable on the offensive end. Will Riley looked like a rookie, which it's going to happen, obviously. It's Summer League. We saw him, I think, got a little bit more comfortable later in the game, obviously. And for I guess for Keyshawn, Bub, Alex, those 3, I think physically you can see the work was put in a little bit physically. So like we saw it at different times in this game. And then, you know, obviously, as you mentioned, AJ, I enjoyed the minutes Jameer Watkins played, especially defensively. You felt his impact every time he's on the floor. You noticed that he was in the game. So I think that's a big plus. You know, on the other side, you see like, you know, Dylan Jones, the Black, kind of trying to figure. There's a contrast between the guys who've been kind of like here already in the culture, what's expected, and the guys trying to get acclimated to it, which again is to be expected. But he said it's more about the process in the summer than the result, as you mentioned. But yeah, I thought Key was great. I like Sarr in the second half as he got aggressive, and I like that the aggressiveness wasn't just jumpers. You know, he got aggressive and it was getting downhill. So I like that. And you know, it was something that we talked about all last year was, you know, maybe as he puts the weight on to get a little bit more comfortable, you know, using it. I mean, we saw that. Also, I thought one of the most impressive things he had out of tonight was then was it the third quarter when he got his hands on Malawach's hook shot, the first one.
Yeah,
that was a hell of a block, a hell of a reaction. You're not supposed to block jump hooks, man. But you know, big moment for him in that. You wanna start on Phoenix? You want me to go ahead and get going?
Yeah, I'll go on Phoenix. Obviously, I spoke about Kobe Bryant. He definitely impressed. Best shooter in college basketball, in my opinion, last year. Checked him out quite a bit. You know, he's a flamethrower. When he gets hot, it don't take much for him to get hot, and when he gets hot, it's a problem. You know, the thing for him is just being able to get stops so he can stay on the floor so teams will target him. Yuri Collins, just a natural floor general. Obviously saw a lot of him. Being an A-10 country out of St. Louis, 9 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. That's what he does, man. 3 turnovers. That's what he does, man. He just sets the table. When he was in college, he was one of the top assist men in the country, man. So, he was efficient shooting the ball 4 for 7. So, that always helps Kaman Maluak. We were very fond of in the draft. 14 points, 5 for 13. Felt he had 5 rebounds. Felt like he had 2 blocks. Had a solid night. Good battle with Asar, who was a top pick. Was second overall, but top pick for the Wizards last year. Good big man battle. Somebody to test him right out the gate. Somebody that can do it inside and out. I felt like he held up a little bit, but I also felt like, he had some rookie mistakes, like the matchup where when Bub switched on him, you know what I mean? He kind of played the Bub's game, trying to prove something, dribble the ball. You could tell he's just not comfortable as the ball handling out there. Just be smart. Man, you got him right there. Pass that thing out and roll his butt back down to the block. I'm back up now. You on my island. And that just comes with that comes with just understanding what's going on, man. You know what I mean? But he was trying to prove, like, all right, this doesn't bother me. He played right into Bub's hands and Bub pressured him and got the block. You know what I'm saying? Because after he got deflected when he was trying to dribble, once he got the ball knocked loose a couple of times, then he got frustrated. Shot clock going down. And that's the thing. That's the other thing these rookies got to get used to. Shorter shot clock. He goes quick, along with the pace. You know what I'm saying? You saw Trey. He was scoring. I was watching the timeout when he went to the bench. He was like, whew. Like, yeah, it's real. You know what I mean? So, but that's what happened with Kaman. You know what I mean? And he had to shoot them, and Bub got to stop. He got the block. So, just little things like that he has to adapt to and understand and get used to. And then, I think he'll be fine. But we all know his impact defensively is what the Suns are looking at right away and being able to finish inside or not. Iguodala, he came out with a bang, man, with that damn left-hand dunk. So that set the tone right there, man. But, double-double, 11 points, 14 rebounds, 3 steals, 4 or 5 from the field. I mean, what else can you say, man? Just filling up the stat sheet, being a junkyard dog, man. Using his athleticism, taking his shots, just, you know what I mean, having a year of experience under his belt, man, and being 7 feet and just being able to jump like that and move like that is just rare, man. So he's a very intriguing prospect. And then, obviously Dunn. We love him at Virginia, man, with his defense. We already know his defense is always going to be there, man. But the expansion in his offensive game was obviously great to see, man. Normally he was just a 3-and-D guy last year. Obviously KD was there, and Bill Book, everything surrounding them. They're going to get most of the shots, so he had to try to spread the floor. But with KD gone and, obviously reports Bill might be on the way out, Booker there is going to be opportunities for him. And when they run him off the three-point line, he's going to have to be able to mix it up, score in the mid-range, get to the basket or whatnot. And you saw that. You saw he's been working. 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 or 5 from deep, 7 to 12 from the field. If he can give him with 1 turnover, if he can sustain his D-level defense and kind of give him that type of production and make that jump like with these type of numbers, man, come on, man. You won. You won if you Phoenix. You're extremely happy. So, but the point of Summer League is to see if you even have that to begin with, and then we can kind of build on that. And he showed that. So he showed improvement, man. Can knock it. Boogie Ellis, he's another mainstay. He was with the Kings Summer League last year. Obviously has experience playing in the G and all that, but 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 for 8 from the field, 4 for 6 from deep, 3 turnovers. So he was huge off the bench. Definitely had something to improve. Trying to show that he's a lock to sustain being in the NBA. You don't need to be back and forth. He deserves some minutes and be in the rotation. with the Suns, man. And this is a hell of an impression right now because he did a great job going back and forth with Bud, man. You know what I'm saying? Bud struggles and he kind of kept him there. Meanwhile, getting his offensively. So, great night for him. We all know he can fill it up. Moses Wood, another kid, 9 points. He was 4 for 11, but I felt like he settled for a lot of threes. But his defense and him moving without the ball, playing smart. You know what I mean? I think that made him be able to leave the game with a more solid impression instead of just like, man, he was just settling for threes where it could have easily been like, yeah, bad night. I felt like his impact overall made it a solid night. And then CJ Huntley, can't forget about him out of Appalachian State. Had some moments, 8 points, 5 rebounds in 19 minutes, 4 or 5 from the field, man. So, for the most part, the guys that got minutes with the Suns, they made an impression. You know what I mean? That's what you want in summer league.
Oh, for sure. As you mentioned, the 2 guys who were on the team last year, obviously got a chance for possibly expanding their roles, and Dunn and Oso. I thought they came out, set the tone quickly. And then, yeah, Brea, I remember you said during the draft process, boy, had a clip, but my God, like, instead of, he's one of the, sometimes you got, not sometimes, but there's those guys that every time they shoot, like if they're open, you just expect that it's cash. That's where I was tonight during this game. Like after the second 3, I was like, oh, okay, so like you just really can't give him any airspace. You failed, like you messed up. It's not there's no late closeout. Like late closeout mean you failed already. It's cash already. You messed up. But to your point, we see a lot of guys on Phoenix with double digits and the plus minus or whatever, but he ended up with a 0 for everything he did offensively because of the other end of the floor. And obviously, I'm sure there's something, not obvious, but it's something that's clear he's going to have to improve to get more minutes. Because, again, you mentioned KD's gone, whatever they end up doing with Bill. There's an opportunity. You can shoot the ball like that, go take care of the other end of the floor. They're not going to not put you on the floor. You shoot the ball like that. That's what's not going to happen. But you got to hold up. But, yeah, I thought they came out and this as a whole, like they play with a little bit of an edge and enjoy watching them get after it tonight as a group. Before we get into Play the Game X Factor, just a reminder, again, this was just the first game of Summer League for the Wizards. Up next, they play Brooklyn on Sunday. Danny Wolf and company. Brooklyn and their, what was it, five first round draft picks. And so we'll be looking forward to that. But again, player of the game, X Factor will start with player of the game for you.
Yeah, that's tough. You got the Phoenix side, so many guys. I mean, the impact. I guess you got to go with Dunn. Just his all-around impact, the defense, and then 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 7 to 12 from the field. It was close, but you got to go with him. Finish the game as a plus 13. The best plus minus out of all the starters, so you got to give it to him.
Yeah, I was about to say, but also took like maybe 4 or 5 more shots. We have a possibly different conversation because he had a hell of a night too. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you. With Dunn, X Factor's also, several candidates in this department as well. But who did you select?
Also Brea. That's where we're gonna go with that. Both of them young fellas deserve to be X Factor because they were literally X Factors in the game. Kobe Brea for his sharp shooting from deep, especially, and then also just doing dirty work. 11 points, 14 rebounds. Whatever Brea and them guys missed, he was cleaning up. So saving possessions, man. So he was the only one in double digits in rebounds. Only one close. Yeah, 14. So without that, who knows, man? You know what I mean? What Pat Riley say, no rebounds, no rings. So
hey, man, that was a game high 14 at that. 6 of which came on the offensive end, to your points about him cleaning up. Yeah, no arguments for me. Like Go those two. You find a way to throw Boogie in there. Doesn't really matter. They had a lot of candidates, man. I don't think you can. It's kind of dealer's choice in that regard. But we appreciate you guys. We'll check in with you guys Sunday evening after the Wizards take on the Brooklyn Nets in their second summer league game.